the Giving Stitch. I'm super excited to have one of my favorite fabric designers with us today. This is Jennifer Long. Sew a Story is her company name, and she works with Riley Blake. Thanks for being here today.
I'm so excited to be here, Courtney. Thank you so much for having me on the Giving Stitch. I appreciate it.
I love the bright and cheerful and colorful in your background right now. That's fantastic.
Thank you so much. Yeah, well, it started off just by like one shelf of like the first fabric collections, and it sort of taken over this entire 30-foot wall. And yeah, I'm not quite sure what to do with it, but I'm really proud and excited about it all. So, yes,
That's like some
thank
of our
you.
customers. They're like, "Oh, I have more fabric than you do in your shop." And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know what to say to that."
Oh, yeah, because we love fabric. So, it's just I don't know. I could have more and more and more, and it still would never be enough. I'm sure so many people feel the same way.
Yeah, I do too. I think a lot of people are like,
Yes.
I can't have enough. And it's like you get to collect a little piece of art every single time. So it makes it kind of fun. So
Absolutely. And then, and being able to swap and share and give and make for other people, I think sure we'll talk a little bit about that as we go on too. But I'm sure that's why this is called the Giving Stitch too, is that one of the beautiful things about our industry and about giving and being a maker is to share our talents with other people. So if you have too much fabric, then consider sewing up some stuff to donate or give away as well.
that's exactly right. So you have a
Yes.
beautiful story. Why don't we start with the back? I mean, you were a ballerina first.
It's kind of a really fun story. I started out training to be a professional ballet dancer. I auditioned and made it into a professional ballet school where we did half day school and half day dance.
Wow.
And it was just a really magical time. I love stories and I love being able to express myself in an artistic way. And so it was really fundamental in who I am today. But I always say I can envision the one moment that really I think, changed or shaped the trajectory of my whole experience. We were working really, really hard to a performance, and it was an honor. So the way the school worked, it was a huge four-story building, and on the third story, where the professional school was also the costume wardrobe. And so we got to go into the front of it all the time to get our point shoes. And so it was a gorgeous, like amazing room that had all these pink satin slippers, and they would dye them there for different costumes and everything else. But I remember this time when I got to walk into the whole room and there was windows along the whole length of the room, and there could have been 30 seamstresses in there, and all the tulle and all the different fabrics in there, and they were hand sewing these elaborate costumes that, if you've been to a ballet, you know how much time and energy they put into them, the layers of tulle and the boning and everything else. And so I was just like, wow, this is where the magic happens. I was so drawn to this space. And then honestly, just being able to put on those costumes, it was like a feeling you'll never ever experience or very few get to experience, because it transforms who you
Yeah.
become, really, right? And so that was so pivotal for me, because I remember thinking, how can a bolt of fabric have so much impact and power to change and build a story? And it
Mm.
really just sort of shaped who I am and what I wanted to do with my life.
Oh, that's fantastic. I remember growing up, my mom would make me costumes, and it did. You got to become someone else for a little bit of time. She was very into pretend play, and we got to dress up a lot and do that kind of stuff. So I love that story, Jennifer. That's fantastic.
And so I'll just sort of lead into that. I don't know if you know anything about my like quilts and stuff. I know you do, but your listeners, I have this series of quilts called Be A.
Mhm.
And so that is actually where this came from for me. So it came from like, being able to lay under a quilt and really get that transformation. So they're actually a quilt that doesn't have a head on it. So when you lay under that quilt, you become the firefighter, or you become the ballerina, or you become whatever they are. And it's really an empowerment quilt for all ages, which was sort of transformational as well.
Yeah, I love those quilts. I think they're adorable. I actually got introduced to those quilts with your collection that was with the firefighters and the
Oh,
cars and
yes.
everything else. That was actually when we met, was H&H, was you had those up, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I love this. I love everything to do with pretend play and engaging kids." And that's kind of where you started. You were after ballerina, you became an early childhood educator, right?
Right. So when I was dancing through my formative years. Like, so I got into the school when I was 12, the professional
Oh,
school, and I
wow.
danced till I was 18. And then I thought, well, I need to have a job. And what do I love? So I really loved working with children. I had already been teaching young children to dance. That's kind of where you start when you're in that profession. And I just loved little children and just being imaginative with them and seeing their energy is just contagious about, if you give them a little bit of creativity, it actually just makes you more creative. So I feel like I was just drawing from their energy. And so I
Mhm.
went and did my early childhood education degree, and I was able to use it a little bit before I started having our own children, but I did use it in the family resource center space.
Uh-huh.
So really supporting families coming together and empowering the parents to be creative, to have special time with their children, and just to be able to grow with their kids. And that's sort of where I started. And then once I started having children and I wanted to stay home with them, I had been sewing quite a bit already.
Mhm.
And I just started making items for my children, like lots of us do. One thing that was super interesting is that this was like also extremely pivotal for me. I'm telling you all the pivotal moments, but this was also really pivotal for me because when I was I have four children, boy, girl, girl, boy. My first son, I made him a quilt, and he was still a baby. I made him all of these different things. And when my daughter was born shortly after, like 18 months later, I wanted to make her a doll. And I had never made a doll. This is like 18 years ago, before there was like lots of soft dolls on the industry. Now, rag dolls are nothing new, like they've been around for centuries, obviously, but
Mhm.
there wasn't really anything on the market. And so I tried just without a pattern to make a doll for her. And it wasn't the most pretty doll, but I will say that it was unbelievable how much she like got attached to that doll.
Mhm.
She could tell, and she knew right away that it was handmade. She could like feel the love in it, and both my son wanted one too. I made him some, and they just wanted more and more and more. And started gravitating and playing with the stuff that was handmade. And we still bought them lots of toys, and they would get thrown into the toy box. But the stuff that was handmade, they took like different special care of it.
Oh, really?
And so at that moment, I just knew that that's what everything I had done in my life was sort of for. So I've pulled the like aesthetics of like understanding the human body through dance and costume making from like learning about costumes and pulling all of that knowledge together to create dolls. And so I'm pretty known for my dolls. If you hop onto my feed, you'll see lots of dolls there as well. So
Yeah, you have a club on your website, right? That works with the dolls and that they can sign up and they can get new doll designs and thing designs through the website, correct?
yeah, so we have a Doll of the Month Club. It's called the Modern Ragdoll Membership.
Uh-huh.
It's right now it's for machine embroidery dolls only, but I will just say stay tuned. That's all I have to say. And it is a Doll of the Month membership that it's fantastic because we kind of build on stories throughout in there. We learn different techniques. And so I actually learned digitizing then so that I
Wow.
specifically, the only reason I learned to digitize 20 years ago was so that I could do dolls.
Really?
Honestly, I was just like hand embroidering the faces. I was like, this is like good, but I wanted the eyes to be like a certain, like how I could draw them. And I wanted the eyes to be like full of life. And then I wanted to be able to make things like just perfect. And
Uh-huh.
and the beautiful thing about machine embroidery and even designing stuff that goes in the hoop is that every outline stitch is exactly as it should be, the length
Mhm.
of stitch, all of that stuff. So I'm sure we will talk more about machine embroidery, but machine embroidery is a huge, huge, huge passion of mine for that reason.
Yeah, I loved all of that. I love everything about the dolls. I'm super excited about machine embroidery. Now tell me about those two dolls.
Sure. So I can talk to you about dolls. So this is sort of where they've come in all of this. I should have brought one that's like one of the early ones, but so just back up a little bit on stories is so as soon as I started making dolls, I was like, there has to be a better way to sort of do
Yeah.
this in a way that I can get my art out onto fabric. And so I started learning digitizing. And one thing about me that's my strength and also my weakness is that when I do something, I am like all in. So I just like put myself completely into it. So I was like, I'm learning digitizing for doll making. That's all I wanted to do. And I submersed myself every waking moment. I just was like kind of obsessed about it, really. And I wanted to tell stories through it. So I did figure out a way that you could make dolls completely in the hoop, which we ended up copywriting that technique. So that's really, really
Oh, that's
exciting
fantastic.
and really big for Sew a Story. And I ended up working for a couple of companies and actually designed some dolls overseas and wanted to bring that over into like the domestic home machine. And so figured out how to do that. And yeah, so this is how you do it. You can make this doll like totally in the hoop, except for the very last step, stuffing her. And then you have like lots of great detail that, only an embroidery machine can do. You can see like how the eyes just have lots of life. And there's
Uh-huh.
just lots of detail on the doll here that kind of gives like lots of characters. Even they have little thumbs and everything else. And like on
Uh-huh.
the wolf doll for Little Red, you can see that there's like stitching on both sides of the arms. And so again, that's super unique for in the hoop making, and that you can get like not just a 2D item, but like a full 3D item. So if you can press start on your machine, then you can make a doll in the hoop.
I am kind of obsessed with embroidery machine. I don't own one yet. I borrowed one from a friend to see if I would like one. And I'm kind of like you. When I'm in, I'm all in. And I got to know all the ins and outs and the details and all the things. And somebody said something about digitizing the other day, and I'm like, I'm not there yet. But let me just tell you, I have a borrowed embroidery machine. And I'm like, I put it on TikTok and I'm like, look at this. So I've only learned to do the just the basic embroidery, but now I'm kind of obsessed with this idea of in the hoop. And people are like, you're gonna
Well, let me tell you, my friends out there, if you are busy at all, or you have lots of things on the go, or maybe your hands are sore and you can't do all of the applique that you once could before, all of these reasons is a reason for an embroidery machine. And I don't sell embroidery machines. I am just saying that, like, you can press start and then go start the pasta. You can press start and then go flip the laundry. You can press start and cut the other piece. And so if you love efficiency and you love like easy sewing and you love to be creative, it's just a no-brainer for me. Yeah.
like it's like Canva with thread. I was like, this is the best thing ever.
Okay, I'm in. Yes.
Yeah, I was in. So tell me a little bit about like let's step back. Let's tell me a little bit about you design fabric as well as the embroidery hoop. But you design fabric. What's your process with that? Do you sketch it out? You were talking about how you do that. I've interviewed a couple different fabric designers now, and different people have different ways they do things. I've been totally fascinated. So how do you get your designs from your mind to the fabric?
Sure. So I'll just start a little bit back of that if I can, and just say like why I niched in the area that I niched, and then we can kind of go into there. So it comes back to sort of my history about wanting to tell stories through fabric. And so I use my early childhood education and my storytelling to come into fabric design. And I was really scared, I will say at the beginning, to niche. I don't know how else to say it. I was really scared because I love like a good farmhouse star quilt like the next person, and
Uh-huh.
like the rustic quilts. And I was like, oh, but just because you niche doesn't mean that you can't still love all of those things. But it was like the single best decision that I ever made because it's like so true to who I am inside.
Oh,
And
I
I
love
feel
that.
like when you are honest and true to yourself, then it just flows out of you. And so instead of just trying to be everything to everyone, I decided I was going to be what was calling inside of me. And so to me, I feel like I don't consider myself an even though I'm an early childhood educator, I don't consider my fabric necessarily in the juvenile category, though it can be. But I
Mhm.
consider it more into like the storytelling family. So if you love nostalgic fabric, I mean,
Mhm.
I would put this fabric in my bedroom. Like, I mean, it just depends, right? But there's like lots of, like, I have another collection coming out. It's Thumbelina, and it's just like this nostalgic sort of like fairy that's sewing. It doesn't
Mhm,
have to be only for children, although it's great for children.
mhm.
So, how I get those designs out? Well, I'll tell you that I have a Google sheet that is very overwhelming, and it is my place to brain dump. And it has like all of the ideas. I better live till I'm 150 because it has all of the ideas of things that I just want to design.
Uh-huh.
It's just like whenever I have an idea, I just put it in there because you can get really frozen as a designer and stuck when there's too many ideas happening. And so I
Mhm,
kind of have to clear space and just focus on one at a time. But I also want to give life and authority to all those ideas. So I have this sheet that I just dump all of these ideas on.
mhm.
And then I kind of, this is going to sound super artsy, but I kind of just wait to like a few things. So from like an emotional side, I like what is calling me the most.
Mhm.
Number one, it has to like call me because when a collection calls you, it feels so easy and fast to design. And if you're pushing a collection that you don't, then you feel like you're kind of working against it.
Yeah.
So I look at it, number one, emotionally, what's calling me to create? Number two, I do look at it from a business standpoint, and so that's before I look at anything else, as I just look at it like, what do I want to create? Then I
Yeah.
look out in the world quickly, not too long, and I just am like, is there anything else out there that's been released in the last like 5 years that's similar to this idea? Should I hold it back? Should I come forward on it so that it's smart? So I just kind of look out to see if I can fill a hole that hasn't been filled for a while.
Mhm.
And then I am like, okay, let's go for it. And I know different designers do different things, but I actually start with the elements. So I start with the story and I brain dump as many ideas as I can on a piece of paper of where I see things going. So, is it the characters? It's often the characters first, but not always.
Uh-huh.
And then sometimes it's like I said, sometimes it's just flowing and I feel like I can't stop it. It's coming out so fast that it's just like I have to get it out on paper.
Yep.
And so I just like woof, it's like nobody else could read it. It's just like all dumped on there. And I sometimes I'm doing it long enough now. So I think this will be 13, 14 collections that
Wow.
I can like kind of see the story. So I know that I need to have like a main print, and then I know I need to have three supporting prints, and I know I need to have some low volumes. So sometimes those, like, I have made myself like little sheets and stuff. So sometimes those can get filled in really fast, or sometimes I'm like, oh, I've got all of the main prints and all of the supporting, but no low volumes, or like, I just, it
Uh-huh.
depends how it feels. And sometimes I have too many SKUs and then I have to cut them down. Um, and then before I start drawing, I actually choose my color palette.
Oh, really?
I do. So I know want to know what colors to draw. It's like if you're a child, how I don't know if your children ever come to you and they're like, favorite color, I want to make you a picture. Like,
I had
oh,
four
okay.
boys.
Yes. Oh, okay. So then I like pick the colors of this palette.
Hmm.
And they can like change in warmths and like tones, but I kind of pick how it's going to feel because to me, the color is like part of the story.
Yep.
And so then I have this color palette that I'm working with. I have this brain dump of images and I just start drawing. So I draw really
Awesome.
rough on a piece of paper. And then
Uh-huh.
I scan them in. If you want the technical side, then I scan them in and I pull them into Adobe Illustrator. And it's a program. It's super powerful if anybody's ever used it, but it's like a program that can vectorize your art. So vector
Really?
art basically means that you can change it and scale it after you draw it. You can
Uh-huh.
change it and scale it. So if I made the wolf, if I drew the wolf in little red and I wanted him to be extra large, I could pull him up and he's not created in pixels that he would start to look like
Hmm.
grainy. You could scale him up or scale him down and he would stay with integrity.
Wow, that's
Um,
cool.
yeah, so then I would just like start to color that, and we would just kind of go through there, and I would actually just start making all of the elements, no repeat patterns yet. I would just kind of like pull everything together. I can start to see what I need from my piece of paper. Like I need
Uh-huh.
to have a gingerbread house or I need to have a mushroom. So I would start kind of like playing with some of those things, but I just kind of get this elements. And sometimes I have to like make the pattern in that process. I try to sometimes wait to it because I feel like it's in sections, but I draw out all of those like elements and
Hmm.
then I start playing with them in the scales. So I often start with the main print because I feel like the main print tells my whole story.
Hmm.
And it usually takes like the longest to make. Well, no, the felt panel takes the longest to make.
We love the felt panels.
And I'm like,
We
well,
bought it on those.
the felt panel takes the longest to make. But the main print is like sort of the story. So I create that. And it's usually like a 12 to 24-inch repeat. So the interesting thing
Mhm.
about fabric, I don't know if you want to hear all of
Yeah, I
this
love it.
inside stuff. Oh, okay.
I love
The
inside
interest,
baseball. Isn't
I
that,
know
isn't that the
the
saying?
interesting thing about fabric is that depending on how it's being printed, if it's being like screen printed, which Riley Blake fabric is screen printed, then you have to have certain repeats depending on how big the screens are. So
Wow.
it has to go with like a 24 inch is the largest, then it can do 12, and then it kind of goes down from there, like 6, 4, 2, depending on how big your repeat is. So this is just how often it's repeating on your. So the Mary Poppins collection that's coming, that spoonful of sugar. I don't know if you've seen that one or not. That repeat, I don't know
Yes.
if it's all on here or not. But this repeat here is actually like it's actually a 24-inch repeat. So you're not actually can't even see the whole fabric that's in there. But something like a plaid might be like, let's say, a 2 or a 4-inch repeat.
Yeah.
So then I usually start with that, like the main print, and draw that out. And then it kind of tells me what other parts of the stories I need to write or to sort of like tell through fabric. And so I start kind of going there. And because I have my color palette already, I can see um like where the holes are because I usually have one document that has the fabric collection as it's building. So I
Hmm.
would have like these are the main prints, these are so I can see it all. Like you have to see it individually and then
Yeah.
you have to see it in its whole entirety.
Yeah.
And then you have to see it in the quilt patterns that you're going to design or the projects. So you need to sort of see it like really zoomed in, like micro, and then you need to be able to like push yourself away and have like this view of it. So it can take a month to create a fabric collection or like solid, or it could take a year. It just depends on like how it's flowing. So that's why I try to choose something that's really speaking to me. So it's just like sometimes
Yeah.
it just comes so fast that it's like almost bigger than you. And usually those
Mhm.
are the collections that do so well because it's like a natural flow. And
Yeah.
so I have a lot of collections that are paused, not like different sections. Like so I have it like 3/4 done, but I had to walk away because maybe I saw somebody else had a similar one out there on
Yeah.
the same theme, or I had to pause and walk away because I wasn't feeling it anymore. And I
Yeah.
might come back to it in a year or two. So there's a lot of that too as an artist. Yeah.
Yeah. I write books, so I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
People are
You're
always
like
like,
one
"Can you
way.
just write another one?" I'm like, it doesn't work like that. I mean, I even like took one of those online master classes on how those people, like write a bunch of books and they have it on a program, I can't remember the author's name that I watched, but I was like, no, I don't do that. No, I kind of have a brain dump like you do. And then
Oh
if it's
yeah.
I want to work on, then I work on it. If not, then I put it away.
Yes. I know because well to me fabric is like telling the story but
Yeah, it is.
visually. And so it's I told the story like visually through dance and then I'm getting to tell it visually
Yeah.
through like textiles, which is so I don't know, it's such an extension of that. I think it's such a blessing to be in this industry and to have this experience. It's so amazing. Yeah.
And you just have a great vision. I love when I was looking at your website and just I bought a lot of your fabric even before I had the quilt shop, and so I like your fabric. And I'm just telling you, Mary Poppins is a spoonful of sugar is a winner because that is my favorite movie of all time. We have so much of it coming. We have so much of it coming.
Well, I will tell. Okay, for your viewers only, do you
Oh,
want inside scoop?
I do.
You want to know what I have right here right now is the strike offs. So what strike offs are is we get to like this is the hardest part for me, honestly.
I'm
So
like, I'm like all in.
we get to they send us like just a little bit of fabric so you can see how much it is here and sometimes in multiple colors and you get to decide like, oh, this is not the right shade of green and change it here. So I have this here, like, okay, I'll just show you how hard this is because like this is the main print here.
I love it
Or
all.
would you prefer it like this? And then I'm like, oh my goodness, who can see the difference? So I'm like, I look at it in the natural light, in not natural light, and you're like, okay, look at it with the whole collection again. Look at it by itself, and so it's like just it's a lot goes into your 1 yard of fabric that you buy in your store. Just know that so much love has been put into that piece. But this is like, yeah, it's so exciting. So yeah, this collection is right here. I'm doing strike offs right now.
I'm in love. I'm over the top in love. When I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh, it's my favorite movie. And I love that movie because it had so much imagination. We give them all a tablet. People give them a tablet, and we've done so much damage to the brain with that. And they don't know how to pretend play. And I'm like,
Mm.
oh, that's so sad. And so when I look at things, like my daughter-in-law gets to stay home with my grandbaby, my Lily June, and Lily June will have Thumbelina wings. We will have all the things. We will have all the things. But I love that you've done that. So, I mean, talk to me a little bit about that with your vision. How do you think through this to where you have kids in mind that they're going to have things to play with, dolls to play with? I mean, that's got to be part of your telling a story and designing all the things, right?
And I mean, oh, thank you so much. I mean, you're my people. I just feel
You're my
like
people.
I know. I just feel like you're right. It's so easy and not for us to, I
Mhm.
mean, us too, right? To get, I have thread all over me now, to get sucked into screens. I mean, we love it and we need to use it and we need to engage with technology that's happening. We need to stay in the forefront of it. It can support us and help us. But I think we have to be very, very mindful that
Mhm.
we also don't lose our humanity when we are doing that as well too. And I think everybody still craves that, I mean, you can see that in the world and in the schools and stuff. We have 4 kids. I mean, my oldest is 20, but my youngest is still 12.
Oh, wow.
And we he wants to play video games and stuff too, but we want him interacting and he wants to interact with his friends. Like if he's doing too much video games, you can see even the behavior starts to like
Mhm.
not be what it could be. And I think that's just because he hasn't had that part of himself filled. And so if you'll let me, I want to speak on one thing that we're actually been working on. I have wanted to do this vision for years and years and years. And honestly, I just haven't put the energy into it because I felt like number one, it wasn't the right time. Number two, I kind of just felt like it was too big of a dream. And
Mhm.
I started to realize, and I'd love to share this, is that if you dream big,
Mhm.
you can't dream too big. You can't dream too big and it will come true. So I'm just a regular mom. There's nothing special about me except that I have always thought that I could achieve what I if I put my mind to it. So there's
Agreed.
nothing else special. And so everybody can do what they think that they can do. If you can think it, then you can do it. And it's just so amazing. And so I'm creating a 10-minute magic. I'm calling it like just 10 minutes of magic can transform your relationship with your child. And so I
Mm.
know firsthand for myself when I am with my own children or when I was in family resource and families are coming from all different levels of like ability to share time together is that if you just invest 10 minutes with your children, that can change the whole trajectory of their whole day experience and your attitude as well.
Mhm.
And what I found is that crafting and sewing is actually like the one thing that could be the catalyst that can create that bond. If you try and sit down over a cup of tea with, or, or a table and say, talk to me to your child, you might not get what you want out of that conversation.
Yeah.
But if you sit alongside of them and do a mutual craft or a mutual activity together,
Yeah.
they can open up in a way that never is possible in any other way. And so, like, this is in early childhood, like, this is like art therapy, or this is just like, all the kind of things. But strip all of that away, as I'm creating an experience right now that really parents and children can just do 10 minutes together and they can have all of that. So that's coming this fall.
I
I'm so
love that. That is I spent my nieces, their shoes are still here. We made shoes this weekend. Um, Peter Pan shoes with hook. We made shoes this weekend because they're littles and my kids are bigs. And so I got to spend time, and you are so right. They'll talk to you about things when their hands are moving.
yes.
It's that kinetic energy and their brain is activated in a different way, and they'll talk to you. And so, and that was such a fun, cheap, easy activity. We went to the Walmart, got us some
Oh,
shoes.
and you know what else, Courtney, is that now every time they wear those shoes, they will actually see and feel that connection that they had with you
Yeah.
when you did that one thing. So that 10 minutes actually turns into so much more, which is why I was like saying magic, because it really changes it reminds you of that experience, and not just them, but when you see it too, you'll be like, oh, remember those moments. Even if you don't verbalize it, it's just that feeling that happens.
Yeah.
And so that's the power of handmade, in my opinion, is that handmade has this opportunity to do something that a purchased toy or item just cannot do, a quilt or anything else, is that, the time that you've spent in it, with either making it for or with somebody else,
Mhm.
can be shared like throughout its whole use. So I
Yeah.
just think it's so powerful, so powerful.
That's amazing. We were talking about that this morning on the morning show. We get quilts donated all the time. We just got to 1,500 this year for Project Line. It's just through our shop, and part of it, Riley Blake has been a big part of it. Riley Blake let us buy 1,000 yards of fabric for a really super reduced rate so that we could back, because we collect the tops. So a lot of times people they'll spend the money and make a top, but they don't have the money to get it quilted.
Yeah,
That's a big investment. And we have a quilters army that will quilt it. We have a bunch of volunteers that do it. And so Riley Blake stepped up and helped us big time on that. But I was talking to them this morning because this lady said in the note she wrote to me, she said the pattern is just not right in the quilt, and I couldn't get it right. And I looked at it, it looked fine. I mean, it was cute. And I said, you guys, they don't care. They've been through a trauma. They've been through they don't care, but they can literally feel the community. When you wrap that quilt around you, you can feel the community. You can feel the love. They know somebody did that with their hands, and that they can't be there to hug them, but they are physically there with that quilt. And I said, so
I love
quit
it.
stressing about this stuff. Nobody cares. Nobody, they know.
But yeah, I love, they can feel the amount of love that they're putting in there. And I
Yeah,
also
they
just
can.
want to speak to Riley Blake is like, our owners and our leaders at Riley Blake Designs are like, I mean, I single-handedly picked them to be with them when I chose to be a fabric designer. This is the story, is that I actually submitted my portfolio to the art director, and first year she said no. My friends in the
No.
industry were, and I was writing patterns for other companies and stuff at the time, and they were like, "Oh, it's okay, just go ask so and so company, just go ask, submit it there. It's so good." And I had this feeling inside me, and I was like, "No, I only want Riley Blake Designs." And so it took a whole nother year, and I looked hard. I kind of pride myself on being like smart. I looked hard at the industry, and I was like, okay, I need to come back in a year and show them how I can fit into their company and what I bring that nobody else in the company has. And so I came back with a portfolio that, now looking back, was like way more strong. It was like I needed that year. And I'm glad that I took that year, and they absolutely signed me right on the spot when I showed it to them the second time. So,
That is
yeah,
fantastic. I
and
agree.
it's
Riley Blake has a unique vibe. Now that I buy fabric, I was telling somebody, you don't even have any clue how much fabric goes across the desk of the quilt shop owner. There is, I mean, we're looking at 800 plus collections a year or more, and the release cycles and all the things. And I'm like, and we're trying to make this decision on what fits our store, our shoppers, everything. And I look at it and I'm like, it's easy for me because Riley Blake fits our vibe. I mean, it's just, it fits my shopper, it fits my vibe. It personally
Yes.
fits my vibe. Your collections always fit my vibe. The created collection, had to
Mm.
get all of it. That's what I said. I don't care if nobody buys it. I buy it all. But I love,
Well,
and we did this cool quilt with created. I forgot to send a picture, but we took the created collection, the created in love, and we told the story of creation. So from the top to the bottom, and we took the middle is all black, and there's yellow stars in the middle, and then it tells the story across it. It's the coolest quilt.
oh
I'll
my
have
goodness, you have to show it to me. I want to see it. Oh
I will
my
send you
goodness.
a picture. I forgot
Okay,
I was
please
going to
do.
do that.
Yes.
But that's what I love about your fabric is it does let you tell a story in a quilt. And some fabrics just makes a pretty quilt. I mean, there is some fabric out there you're like that just makes a pretty quilt. But your fabric, you can really do something with it that's unique. You know, when you did the one with the cars and you could drive them on the fabric, I loved that one too.
Oh my goodness. Well, that means so, so much to me because that is the vision. And there is so much beautiful fabric out there, and there's so many amazing artists. And it sometimes gets hard to choose what should we have for not only our shops but us as customers too, like what will sell, what will resonate with people. And I feel like everybody can resonate with being able to tell a story.
Mhm.
And so, you don't have to be an author or a fabric designer to tell the story. You just need to be able to sew some fabric together. And in some cases, like the wide back, I don't know if you pulled the wide back in from the Created with Love collection, but that wide back tells its own story just by itself. And I know people that are just buying yards of it to just quilt it. And so that means so much to me. Thank you.
Yeah, we got the wide back in, and we got the wide back in after we got the collection. They didn't hit at the same time. And I had already sent the quilt off to be quilted. And I was like, oh. And so then I'm like, you gotta bring it back. And so she brought it back because I was like, I can't,
Oh,
I gotta have this because it's gonna be for Lily June. And she's gotta have the quilt. So my poor grandbaby is gonna have so many quilts. I'm just like, yeah.
that's perfect. It's so
So
good.
she's gonna have wings when Thumbelina comes out too. So
Oh, yay. That's so exciting. So do you want to talk about felt panels?
I do. I just sold out of all my felt panels over the weekend.
Okay, well, you can get them more before this airs then.
Oh no, yeah, I'll have to get a few more in. We're gonna get yeah, we got to get a few more in. A friend of mine had put the Silent Night one together, and once people see it together, it's done. It's like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I need
I
that.
should
There's
have. I have them over there if you want to stop and me running at them. But yeah. Okay, I'll be right back. Hold on.
oh, there it is.
Okay, so Silent Night. This is so I'll just talk to you a little bit about felt panels. Felt panels, I put them on an extra large piece of felt. Riley Blake has this high quality felt. And so this was actually one of the things when I submitted to Riley Blake the second time was I asked if they had the ability to print on felt. And to my knowledge, I don't think any other company is doing that. They said yes, but we haven't really explored that option. And I said, good, because I want to do this. And so I showed them this concept, and basically it's just taking the idea of paper dolls, so that we played with paper dolls all of the time growing up. But my biggest complaint or disappointment playing with paper dolls and my sister was that the heads would get floppy or the arms would rip off.
Yeah.
And but I just love that you could carry them and go travel with them, and with my own children. And so, being a fabric designer, I wanted like the tactile experience of fabric.
Mhm.
We all go to fabric stores and we want to pet the fabric, right? And so, children are just the same. And I thought we could just like teach them to do like little French knots or anything else on these little felt dolls. So they have just taken on a life of their own because I've seen people use them in so many different ways. But the way that I had originally um, dreamed that they would be, they are also being used for. And so I'll just show you here, like we have like Mary and Joseph and like little baby Jesus.
I liked that Jesus was not stuck in the manger. So many manger scenes, Jesus is
Mm,
stuck. I'm like, he comes out.
yes.
You gotta have
Oh,
him
but don't
out.
you want to hold him?
I was like, yes.
And
Well,
Mary also has this dress when she's pregnant so that you could just put that on her. And so she could go with where's the donkey here? And then she could go with the donkey. And then you could tell the whole story because we have to tell the story. And then, you have the star and all of this. And so this is like the vision is that, it hits all the boxes without anybody knowing it hits the boxes. Like early literacy, talking, memory, cognitive development, emotional development, like all of these things, telling the story, it hits all of those boxes. While you get to make now, you can make all these different characters and learn the story, but you can also have all of this play that happens. And these have done so well, and people keep having babies and
yeah.
grandbabies. So they bought maybe three, but maybe they want to make another one for their fourth grandbaby. And so Riley Blake did make these evergreen, which means that even though the fabric collection is gone, the felt panels are still there. And so that is so inspiring for like the world of early childhood education because they could really be as easy as cut and sew. But yeah, it's just easy to carry as you go, and the whole story is inside.
I like it because it's nostalgic of early child or Sunday school. I don't know if you guys had felt boards in
Oh,
Sunday
of course
school.
we did. Yes.
Holy moly, we had felt boards. And I was like, it's just like that. So the other day on Saturday when I showed it on the morning show, I dumped all the characters out and I'm sticking the characters to the inside of the bag and I'm like, look, they stick just like Sunday school. And
Yeah.
everybody was excited about it. But
Yes.
it's such a great idea too. And I was really because I was checking. I love your Instagram, and you had showed the beads on the camel, and I was like, oh my gosh, I gotta put beads on my camel.
I know, right? You just have to do all the things. Well, and I have like yeah, so I have lots of like little French knots there, or you're right, you could do all different kinds of things. I was doing like sparkle paste too, which is a product that I was working with Thermoweb on that you just paint
Mhm.
sparkles onto them. And so I thought I was always looking for ways that you can bring every age into your sewing room because depending on what age you have, but any time that children can have a say in what
Mhm.
they are going to experience, then the more that they'll feel ownership over it. So you just think about like dinner. You're going to make dinner tonight and you ask them what they want and you say, I want spaghetti. Okay, well, we'll have spaghetti, but I'm going to make a stir fry with it and this and that. And
Uh-huh.
so, you ask them, what should we put on the star or have them even like maybe add sparkles to it or thread. It's just
Mhm.
going to feel like they had such an ownership, even if they aren't old enough to sew it too. So I always try to find ways to like pull families in. And one more thing I'll just say, I'm so passionate about this, but one more thing I would just say is that like lots of times people shut down their sewing spaces in the summer because they think, oh, the kids are home, I can't sew, or and I feel the opposite. I feel like this is the time. This is the time actually that you should be sewing where they can see you. So tell them to come into your sewing room and give
Yeah.
them an opportunity to do something like even if it's just sort your fabric scraps or like pick some, pick fabrics out that you're going to help you make the next project or paint this with sparkles or whatever else or teach them how to sew beads onto something. This is the time that you're going to really build memories. And so I would say go and stop sewing over the summer. Actually, sew more over the summer. Yeah.
We have the cutest stories. One of our regulars who volunteers with us on volunteer day, which we sew the quilts for Linus. They'll get together and sew on Tuesdays. And she brought her grandkids in and they said, we had our own quilt shop. And I was like, you did? Because when a kid comes in our quilt shop, there's two things. They get a free fat quarter and they always get to find a cow. And we have cows hidden all over, little stuffed cows. And so they find the cow, they get a snack. Now, selfishly, when they're looking for the cow, it distracts them enough so mom can shop. But
It's brilliant, smart.
right,
Yes.
but the free fat quarter is a big deal. So these one kids have come in on the regular, and they always get a fat quarter. And I guess they made their very own little quilt shop with their fat quarters, and then they sold it to one another in the shop. And I was like, that's what I want is this level of pretend play. And I love that. I mean, this is almost embarrassing, but this is my side table right now because I've had the nieces over and my room's a hot mess. My bookshelf's a hot mess. Everything's a hot mess. But I just find that we've got, I know. I was like, here, let me really show you the true deal here. It's like
That's good. You look actually if that's your mess, it's beautiful. Yes.
it's a beautiful mess. So anyway, I'm so appreciative of you. I think you just do beautiful work. And I really appreciate the fabric. I can't wait for Mary Poppins. I'm over the top excited about. I will have it. I already ordered it all.
I know it's going to be so exciting. Well, and I want to say that I really, really appreciate you and your shop and all the things that you do as well, Courtney. Not just like the support of like Sew Story Fabric or myself, but just like all of the initiatives that you have in there because it takes like so much work for like it takes so much work to open up the doors, it takes so much work to be consistent, and you have your morning show, it takes so much work to give, but that's where all the reward is. And so there's so much of you. And I know you get to interview and lift up people like us, but we want to lift up people like you as well that give so much to the community to make a space where everyone is welcome, where children feel invited into there, where people that are in need can still get support. And so it's all of us together, it's not one of us on our own either. And so I think you deserve this applause
Oh,
too.
thank you. Thank you. Well, with that, I'm gonna close this up. I really appreciate you being with me today, and thanks so much. So I'm Courtney, and this has been the Giving Stitch. Thanks for joining us, Jennifer. We will definitely talk again soon. Make sure you like and follow for more great content from the Quilty Sewy wonderful giving community that we have. Thanks, everybody.